All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Evening Hour Live, episode 17. All right, 2020's almost over. Let's chat about the year, shall we? There we go. All right, here we go, folks. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Here we go. Evening Hour Live, episode 17. Grab your drinks. All right, let's have some fun. Folks, I am here live with you. Let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. I am going to actually... What was I going to play? I was going to play a record tonight. Yes. Good. People watching. I wanted to say, if you've noticed, the opening song changed because I was a little annoyed at the old one. I don't know if you guys know this, but part of how I work is I literally record all the music you hear. It's either old recordings I've made from other bands, unreleased stuff, different versions of things that I wrote and played on, or I literally right here plug in instruments and just record these songs. So I wasn't happy with the Evening Hour song, so I changed it. I'm still not 100% behind it. So... it's okay. I gotta get used to it. I might change it again. But yeah, I'm very into audio. I'm an audio guy. So if I don't like songs, I can't take it. What's up, everybody? Let's have a good time tonight. We got a nice crowd in here immediately. I love it. Welcome, welcome. We're gonna chat lots of juicy stuff tonight. Tonight's episode is called 2020 Was a Gas. And I mean it literally and ironically and everything. I'm one of those guys that no matter how bad things are, I try to focus on the positive. I'm also one of those guys, I don't ever... if someone has a sickness, I don't do the F cancer thing. And I don't like to personify illness, natural disasters. I don't do that. I just look at it and then figure it out. So... that's what this show's going to be about. I have lots of things to go over tonight. These episodes where I don't have a lot planned usually end up being the meatiest. Because my brain is just like blah, 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 and just starts popping things out. I did make some notes for tonight. I had so many things to go over. First of all, a big, giant thank you. Look at this. Right here. This t-shirt. Folks, my Kickstarter is over. The Satanic Playing Cards is complete. It was a very successful campaign. It was my first Kickstarter. Me and my partner, Stuart Paul, made $14,392. I mean, that's not profit. That's what we made. We got to make the cards now. So I have to say this. It was an honor to work with Stuart Palm. Good friend of mine, close friend, confidant, also an amazing artist, and I get along with him, and we work well together. I want to thank him. I want to thank each and every one of you that helped me promote the campaign, everybody who donated to have it made. I thank you. I'm flattered. I'm tickled purple, pink, colors, whatever that it went through. We hit our number in 2 hours. We set it at 2,500. We wanted to make 4,000 to 8,000. That would have paid for the cards and got the project up and running, and no profit or anything future, but just the bare bones. And we got it in 2 hours. We hit 4,000 in another 5 hours or 3. I mean, right away, like a couple hours. And then We have $14,000. I'm blown away. This is the T-shirt I just got. This is the a print that we just got. If you put on the order extra funds for a T-shirt, they're coming. They're gonna come early, but you got to fill out the questionnaire that's gonna go out either tonight or tomorrow morning. Okay. Also, on Wednesday's show in 2 days here, I have a major announcement to make about this project. I'm not going to do it tonight. I'm going to save it for Wednesday. Cool. I'm so happy. Oh my God. We have people that back the project are from all over the world. I was looking through the list and I was like, wow, there are going to be countries where there's only one guy in the country that has the satanic playing cards, which I thought was kind of cool. There were no countries on there where you can get the death penalty for even having these cards. I was kind of curious. There are countries where anything conceived or believed to be associated with witchcraft can literally get you beheaded. To this day, right here, alive in 2020. So just before people start to complain about things here, I think people need to remember there are places on this earth where half the population is basically a slave, women, and you can get the death penalty for being gay, atheist, or into witchcraft. Just want to throw that out there. I was wondering if anybody from those countries would have ordered these cards, and the answer was no. I can see why. But cheers, everybody. Thank you. Art is, making art from scratch is alive and well. And I raise my glass to you. Okay. Let's keep it moving, folks. I don't want to dilly-dally here. If you're new to this channel, and I know some of you are, hit the subscribe button. I'm around 600 subscribers. I'm like right below it. I wanted to get to 1,000 by the new year. It didn't happen. I didn't realize how hard it was to get it to move. I got it up 300 really quick, and then it kind of slowed down, which is normal. Libertas, thank you. William, yeah, Mark, everybody, thank you. So I'm moving. I'm always saying, hey, if you got donation money, cool, it goes into the show, but that's cool. That helps. Because I need a camera. I'm working on it. A new camera. But honestly, it's the subscribers. So I need to find some other pages to share it on and move it on. But it's not easy. I have deep, deep, deep respect for anybody who does a YouTube show to any capacity. Reverend Campbell has a show. He's been running it for a long time. He'll tell you it's not easy. I have deep respect for everybody that does this. So thank you, everybody. So if you're new, hit the subscribe and notify, like the video. It all goes, it actually helps. Now, I do want to say I'm working on 2 shows. I'm working on a boardgasm on, a new game. It came out a few years ago, but I just got it. Mansions of Madness. My pal got me for a holiday present a board game that's a hybrid. It uses an iPhone app for part of the engine. I'm learning it now. It's pretty simple, and I haven't played a full game yet. So I'm curious how it translates, and I'm going to do a review of that. And also, thank you, Amanda. It is hard to get subscribers. Thank you so much. Anywho, here's the show I'm working on that I need you guys to do a little homework on. And it's fun homework. My next Behind the Devil's Curtain episode is, the subject is going to be on UFOs or UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena is what the government's calling them now. For those of you that don't know, the government's admitted that UFOs are real and they don't know what the heck they are. Here's your homework. Part of my show is going to be on a dissection of Bob Lazar. Bob Lazar is a figure now who's part of pop culture. He's the guy that opened the doors to the concept of an Area 51. Or as he says, S4. He's like, Area 51's here, the real secret stuff's here in S4. Anyway, I've been reading and studying this guy for a long time, and I have some serious thoughts. So if you're interested in this stuff and Behind the Devil's Curtain, the show I do, go watch the documentary on, well, okay, there's a million documentaries on Bob Lazar on YouTube. There's a new one by Jeremy Corbell, called Bob Lazar something. I don't know. I saw it. I don't want to say if I liked it, if I hated it, if I was indifferent to it, but it's on either Amazon or Netflix. A lot of people have seen this. It's a new movie. It's come out in the last year. It's a documentary. Well, I'll tell you right now, I'm not so hot on it, but it's still, I recommend you watching it, because it'll give you a little insight on this Bob Lazar guy that I'm going to dissect Cardone style. Actually, Behind the Devil's Curtain style is a better way to phrase it, because that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to rip it open the way I examine everything, and that is from the third side. There's this guy, you have all these people here, you have all these people here. I'm going to go way out here and try to take it all in and then come back in and dissect it. Hey, grazie. Someone just hit me. Talon. Oh, yeah. Talon, you are now part of the list. I got to write you down on the list now. Cool. Thank you. Someone just tipped $25. It all goes... It's literally... That's it, Mark. Bob Lazar, Area 51, and Flying Saucers. That's it. I recommend you to watch it. And then when I do the live show, not this week, next week, come on in and give me your opinion. Because it's just opinions. The facts are... Okay. Yeah, thank you, Talon. You just gave me more for my camera. Thank you. Wow. I'm flattered. So, yeah, okay. So, UFOs is the next subject. I've been studying it my whole life. I have what I believe to be, we're going to talk about what the government's been saying. B, we're going to talk about what I think are the most compelling stories I've heard. And I'm going to give you all the sources so then you can go run and watch all the movies that I watched. And then we're going to go into Bob Lazar. It's something that I think about a lot. And yeah, that's definitely going to happen next week. I haven't given it a title yet, but the subject's UFOs, and it's on Netflix. There you go. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, check this out. It's a very cool kind of feeling. Not only have I only watched TV twice in 2.5 months, when I mean watch TV, I mean put on Netflix or watch movies or the news or any, channel. Fallon. Thank you, Fallon. Oh, it's Fallon. Yes, of course. The pop-ups. What was I going to say? We were talking about UFOs. Yeah, dude, UFOs, it's something I think about a lot. I think it's an important subject. But let's get out of this UFO stuff, because that's going to be next week. We're going to be in UFO heaven. Okay, let's move into... a lot of people have been asking me where to post. I wish YouTube had a section on my page, like a chalkboard. YouTube, if you're watching, make a chalkboard on people's channels, a bulletin board, so I can post a few things. I'm going to post my reading list. People have been asking me. Now, I always, hold up. I'll do this kind of a thing where I lay one out like this, but it's pretty hood to do this. It's just like, hey, look, crumpled paper. But yeah, I want to find a place where I can post this. This isn't my full reading list. This is just a couple. Um, and this is a bunch of books with philosophy stuff. And it's funny because, and I'm going to read a little bit of Seneca tonight. He's been my favorite. How do you study philosophy? Because I basically made my own philosophy course, for lack of better words, my own curriculum, and I'm not being measured by anybody but myself. How do you do that? And I'm going to recommend this for anybody. The thing about philosophy that's interesting is each philosopher that you read was influenced by pretty much the world and everybody before him. Which is funny because when I read these ancient guys, I'm like, it's not that many people before. Because there weren't any books. There was only a few books that you could get your hands on, you know? So it's important to know the context in which what you're reading. You know, when I'm reading these Roman and Greek guys, it reads super duper contemporary. And then they start mentioning gladiators and slaves. So then you got to remember, oh yeah, that's something interesting. The human rights things was a little, because they sound kind of normal. Then they have this thing. Their version of slavery is very different than what modern slavery is today and what ancient slavery was. Romans had it kind of weird where it wasn't a racial group and it was basically like an entire group of humans that seemed kind of middle class. Today's standards might have been, that's what the slaves would have been. So if you work for somebody, your boss was kind of, they owned you technically, sort of. It's like, they owned you, but it wasn't like you lived in a army barracks, you know. You went home. Some of them, you know, people had homes. Separate. Sussing out the door. Okay. Your pop-up blocker. Okay. Oh, wow. You have a whole list of... Yes. Well, Diogenes was a slave. They all were slaves. It seems like a lot of them were. Diogenes was... Grazie, Fallon. Thank you. Rick Sherman's in the house. Yeah, so the slavery thing, when I read it, I'm like, wow, they had slaves, they had gladiators, they also were polytheistic. Yeah, they didn't have, like, you know, one dude in charge kind of dictating a religious to... Oh, yeah, with apologies to Talon. Yes, we got Talon and Fallon. And I don't have glasses on right now. See, here's my glasses. If you ever know me, I'm always putting these on to read. So... Today, during my morning readings, I read a little essay from Seneca, one of his letters to Lucius, on being old and dying. And it really, it just kind of woke me up again. I mean, a lot of people dismiss a lot of the philosophy stuff because they'll read it. They'll go, oh, like if you get the Daily Stoic. Rick, you get it, right? It's like a daily, like, saying. A lot of people will hear it and go, yeah, that's cool. It's kind of common sense stuff, mostly. Which it is. It's like logical reasoning. It's like very... And so it doesn't seem as monumental and serious because you're like, yeah, that's obvious. It's just, you know, I don't apply it, but I get it. When you read their writings and their letters, it gets put in a context. It's not like they just give you... When people think of philosophy, I think sometimes they think of it as like an examination of a thing. You go, hey, here. I'm going to keep this marked. Here, like this. Seneca quote. You act like mortals in all that you fear, and like immortals in all that you desire. That's a pretty powerful quote. When I read this, I had to like really think about it for a while. But then you have this Seneca quote. There is no easy way from the earth to the stars. Kind of brilliant. Kind of obvious. I get the analogy is drawing. Yeah, if you want to get to the back then they didn't even get to the stars yet. We got to them. You know, we can go to the moon, and still, if you look at the amount of effort and work, right? So, to me, there's this like some of the stuff's kind of like, wow, I never thought of that, and some of it's obvious. You gotta read it in the context, especially like most of these philosophers, they wrote stuff that wasn't intended to be read, which to me is amazing that we can read it. We can get their deep thoughts. And when you read it, they're usually telling a story about something that happened to them or drawing an analogy to a part of their daily life. So it's how it's written that makes it work. It's the context of the story that the philosopher's throwing out there. And like in Seneca, yeah, they're letters to a friend. Marcus Aurelius it was like his journaling for the day. He'd sit down and then Diogenes, he didn't write anything. You're only able to read what people learned from him or saw him do, or so you're getting a source away from him, which is weird, but there is truth to it because a lot of people wrote about somebody like him. So, let me see here. So after reading this Seneca today, it made me think about. I came up with my own little exercise, which I'm going to talk about. Oh yeah, Epicurus. With oblige me with these words. Oh yeah, he always quotes Epicurus, which I think is cool that he was a fanboy of Epicurus, because I like Epicurus too. But a lot of the Stoics, especially when you get to Marcus Aurelius, I think had some disagreements with the goal of the Epicureans. But it says, this is adorable. Think on death, or rather, if you prefer the phrase, on migration to heaven. Being funny there. This is Epicurus he's quoting. The meaning is clear, that it is a wonderful thing to learn thoroughly how to die. You may deem it... okay, hold on. Let me skip ahead of here. This is long. Oh, yeah. When we can never prove whether we really know a thing, we must always be learning it. Think on death, in quotes. In saying this, he bids us to think on freedom. He who has learned to die has unlearned slavery. He is above any external power, or at any rate, he is beyond it. What terrors have prisons and bonds and bars for him? His way out is clear. There is only one chain which binds us to life, and that is the love of life. The chain may not be cast off, but it may be rubbed away, so that when necessity shall demand, nothing may retard or hinder us from being ready to do at once that which at some time we are bound to do. Farewell. So there's memento mori. There's him reflecting on what memento mori is. What does it mean to be ready to die? You know, that moment right before you're like, I mean, we don't all get that moment. Some people die in their sleep. Some people get hit by a car. But if you are honored to have that moment of, wow, I'm going to die in an hour, or I'm going to die in a week or a year, what do you bring to that? And so today, my little reflection on that, my personal exercise, is I was taking a shower, and I used to love to stand in the shower way longer than you're supposed to and just kind of zone out and let the water hit me. And in the last 6 months, I have not been able to do that. I have to be doing something. I have to either be stretching if I'm in the shower hanging out. Like I'll go, I need to stretch, and shower's a great place to stretch. Or I'll be going over something I need to be doing, like one of my shows or like the UFO stuff. I'll just be thinking about it. Today I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a little exercise. I'm going to do almost like you would do in an acting class. I'm going to imagine what it's like to be really old. Like in my mid to late 80s is what I was imagining. And So I close my eyes, the water's running, and I'm in there rinsing off and just trying to imagine being very old and, living alone and just kind of focused on my own life. And it really got me. It worked. I was transported to this place in my being where I realized all the things that I dote upon as being annoying now, or people I don't like, or things that have caused me problems, whenever I would think about them in this old man state that I was in this play acting scenario, I realized who cares? And then when I would think about family members, it meant a lot. And then I would think about, while I was in there, I was like, wow, I'm still able to stand up and move my fingers and wash my body. Like, that meant something in that shower today. I only thought that because I was imagining what it would be like to be 85. If I was 80, and then I was like, wow, I'm 85 and I'm still able to take a shower without any help. This is great. And that meant a lot to me. So I don't know if memento mori, I mean, that's important too, but I think it's also good to project a little bit like that, like, what would you like to be? How would you like to be at that age? How would you like to think? What kind of a person would you like to be, right? So I did that today as my little reflection of, does anybody else do that? I'm curious. Very seriously, throw some stuff out there. I'm curious if anybody else has done anything like that. Same with being dead, or fantasizing about dying. What would you do? What would you plan? Quick story. I think you'll appreciate this. There's a magician, Michael. I never remember his name. Anywho, there was a magician that used to sell an internet course on how to make money being a magician. And this is 15 years ago. And there's a lot of guys that do this gig. There's an entire industry on how to be a professional magician. There really is. There's like, I don't know, hundreds of correspondence courses, and some of them are really money. How to make 6 figures doing magic and all this crap. Rick Sherman and I talk about it all the time. We've all examined them and looked at them. And one guy used to do one of these things, but he had free teaser videos. He'd be like, hey, here's my tip today. So I would get those because they were free. And when I was first getting started trying to do this as a full-time living, I tried to take in everything I could, So I would listen to this guy. Future Quentin Crisp in the making. Who, me? I got to meet him once for 1 second. I'll tell you my Quentin Crisp story. Hold on, Fallon. Very funny story. Let me write that down. God, I haven't heard that name in a long time. Wonder how many people here know who Quentin Crisp is, and I don't even know how to describe him to people. He was like, let me write it down. Quentin. All right, so I'm going to get to Quentin Crisp in a second there, Fallon. So, so this magician guy has these self-help, how to make money doing magic things. And he said some cool stuff. Like one time he said, you got to stop being a magician and turn into a marketer of magical services, which is true. You got to start selling your show. But I remember one day I got his little hey, my new video for whatever Monday, and it was like, hey, what's up? I just got diagnosed with mesothelioma, and I'm gonna die in 9 months. It was like, oh, all right, you look so normal. So he then said, so here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna try to do what I have been teaching. You have your goals, you have your short-term goals that lead to the long-term goals. Well, I'm going to do them all in my last year alive, my last 9 months. I'm going to try to do everything. And it was really it was amazing, kind of, because he kind of took it head on, and he did everything he said. He wrote a book, and he kind of did everything he did. The one thing that he said that kind of made me chuckle and scared, like, wow, because it made sense. Not chuckle, it was amusing and interesting, is he said he had a hard time sleeping because he didn't want to miss anything. And I was like, wow, I can easily see how that would happen. Sleep? Like, why do you want to sleep your last year away? And again, like the shower, ever since I shifted a couple gears in my head, I don't like sleeping in. I hate it, actually. I feel guilty a bit, I feel like I'm missing something, or I don't know. So he basically was like, look, he got up every day and just busted his butt and got it done. And I've been trying to do that too. I've been trying to, again, memento mori it a bit. What would I do? Well, I do what I'm doing right now. I just start working harder, faster, leaner, and meaner. That's all. Cleaning out fat in your life, getting out the extra garbage, and focusing on the good. Right? That's all we have. Which is what I want to talk about. Now, let's talk about 2020. I'm going to try to keep this non-political as much as possible. I'm going to try to keep it non-political because to me, it doesn't matter. Yeah. And then Quentin Crisp, I am going to chat about because I did get to meet him for 1 second. And, yeah, he had a nice vibe. I will say that. I just said hello. He was like, hello. It was a very second. Actually, I'll just tell the story now. I don't know what year this was. 1998, 96, 98, 97. I don't know. I was on a float in the Gay Pride Parade, and here's what the float, it was the Hedwig float, but it was amazing because there were 4 go-go boys in little booty shorts. I was one of them. 3 of us were straight. One of them was gay. Okay? And Hedwig in the car, the float car, was a real woman, was a biological woman. So it was a biological woman. Yeah, I don't have to explain. Hedwig is, I think most of you know what Hedwig is. So I was in that float. I was like, this is kind of the fraud float. The biological woman doing Hedwig, and the go-go boys were straight. But I gotta say, it was one of the coolest experiences of my life. I would do it again tomorrow. The Gay Pride Parade is unbelievably cool. And I remember there were protesters in that time on the church steps, and it was like, yay. I remember the thing about when I see people protesting gay people, is I always remind my gay friends that the people protesting are right. And that my gay friend's like, what do you mean? And I go, well, it clearly says it in the Old Testament. It's very clear. So they're just being honest. Why don't we talk about the root, the source material? No one ever talks about the source material. I was waiting for the Torah and the New Testament to be brought up in the in the Black Lives Matter movement, because those documents have been used for a long time to defend many racist activities, because it's not it's condoned. It's there clearly. I'm very good at debating that subject if anybody ever wants to go at it watching. So anywho, yeah, the Gay Pride Parade is, as you get closer to Christopher Street and Ground Zero, which is Stonewall, it turns into a rock concert. Hordes of people cheering and screaming and laughing and clapping and enjoying themselves. Yeah, we're lucky we have a parade like that here, and I hope they get to do it this year. So that's my... So the float behind me was Quentin Crisp. It was him. So when we would stop, you know, when you're in parades, you stop. You know, people would chat with them, and I eventually went over and said hi. Wow. Yeah. What year was that? I'd like to find out. 98, 99, 97? I don't know. But yeah, I remember I was in the Hedwig float. And I don't think it was for the play, not the movie. All right, so 2020. What do we have to reflect on it? If I think about this year, I just think of it as transitory. If you said, give me some words to describe this year. Fallon says, in a faux float, actors have to have range. Yeah. When I think of 2020, I think of internal study. I think of observation. I think of two words, fact and truth. I think of perseverance. I think of mistrust. I think of good health, even though I think I had COVID in March. A lot of my friends had it too. I mean, we all had it. I will say death, because I did lose a family member. But death is, yeah, death is death. I think of scapegoating. I think a lot of people, even people that don't like scapegoating, scapegoated this time with political stuff. And I'm not saying I agree with any side here, because I disagree with both sides big time. A lot of people zoned it all on one thing. Very similar to other aspects of life. People do that in spirituality stuff too. And certain people, it's very easy to do that too. But I think it's a lot more than that. It's a bigger subject. It's a very detailed, massive subject. So it's why pinning it on certain things to me is very tricky and unhealthy. I think it's better to not do that. I think of as a year where I reflected a lot on what free speech is. And I didn't see it discussed enough publicly on the internets. That I might talk about tonight. I'm a very big free speech advocate. And I also realized something really important of how we live as humans and make money and do things and live. I'm writing a little essay right now, kind of putting all my thoughts together on this, but the way I've been living since 1995 is what happened to most people now. For instance, the gig culture, going from job to job. Maybe it lasts a long time and then it's over in a month. Maybe it's just a one-off. Maybe you get a job teaching for a couple weeks in this program, and then you're going to be doing a show in a water park for a month. Right? I've been living like that since 1995. I don't know when I'm getting the next paycheck. I don't know when I don't know. It's always up in the air, and you're only as good as your last job. I might have just got done doing a private event for a movie star, and next week I'm in an old age home in Queens. Right? So that's what it is. I've been living like that. So when it happened, I was like, okay, cool. I'm good at hustling. The problem is the way I used to hustle was gone because the live gigs went, right? So what did I do? I jumped here. I went to this medium, which I was already doing a little bit. I wish I did more earlier. You know, now I'm like, wow. So, honestly, I just said I'm going to make money doing more online-y things, right? And it worked, especially in the spring. I was doing tons of graduation events, and, you know, the fall too. It's been busy teaching and doing performing. So I learned this, and it's funny because there's a book on called Follow the Other Hand by Andy Cohen. It's a business book using the allegory of magicians to teach it. And in one of the concepts, it mentions, like, in the old days, you could come up with a shtick, a gimmick for your business, and kind of roll it for the rest of your life. Well, you can't do that anymore. Now you got to do that every day. Seriously, no joke. It's a constant grind to be creative, to catch someone's attention. Listen, I was saying to my buddy today, he was asking about doing YouTube. And I was like, look, I'm not competing anymore with my neighborhood. When you get online, you're competing with planet Earth, right? It's now a flat Earth on this medium. So it's a bigger fish to fry. It's not as easy. And yeah, so you've got to adapt and move and change fast now, like bang, 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 like constantly. And so that's all this is. Those who fight change suffer. And with business and making money, we got to constantly be diversifying and doing, you got to do it. I'm now learning how to invest money. I'm not good at that. I went to an art school. My brain is literally wired to be creative with some weird thoughts and ideas to put on a show. That's what I do. I can help people do it, and I can do it. I'm really good at helping people organize their shows. As like a director of sorts. But when it comes time to, like, just take money and use that to make more money, I'm not good at it. And I'll tell you why. Because I don't like it. That's the answer. Now, I'm trying to trick myself into liking it. One of the things I learned about from philosophy is you have to change your belief system if you want to change. So if I want to make money that way, I have to change my thinking on how I approach money. Because I honestly, when I meet somebody who's like, I'm in finance, I have nothing, I have no feeling of anything for that. It means nothing. I don't feel, if somebody said, hey, I made my money because I do paint by numbers and they're so good that people are willing to pay me a lot more money than they cost, I would be like, wow, that's cool. Or if I met somebody that was like, I don't know, I figured out how to clean vinyl records with a squeegee, and I go to I would be so impressed that they did that, you know? I'm flipping my record, folks. Always when you flip your records, give them a swipe with the cleaner. These cleaners here that you probably used to have in your house but never used, you should always use them. And make sure your needle doesn't have fuzzies on it, which makes it sound like garbage. Anywho. So yeah, that's my thing, is I'm not a fan of using money to make money. It's not glamorous to me. So, and again, money's not glamorous to me at all. So I have to train myself to do that, to do the stock market-y stuff. Now, the stock market's kind of interesting because you're studying trends and you're making predictions on trends. That is a little more on what I like. I can get into that. So that's it. I'm trying to my brain to that. And it's a journey. It's not easy. And I'm being very honest. This is how my inner workings work. My health has been pretty good now. Since I was sick last March, I had a cough and a horrible for over a month. And the person I was living with and the house, because this is a big one-family house that was turned into multiple dwellings, so my friends and all live here. They were sick too. Some of them had COVID. Like, they got the test and they had it. I just didn't have the test, but I had I was sick as a dog. Since then, I've been very healthy. I've been doing more exercise. I've been keeping physically healthy, like on purpose. I think if you're physically healthy, it's better for when you get the flu. That's just how I look at it. Now, on the note of free speech, this is the one that this year, 2020, it put a spotlight on it, and I need people to talk about this. Right now, all of our online experiences, all of them are getting fact-checked. Right now, it's leaning towards right-wingy kind of people like Trump's, right? They're fact-checking Trump. Now, here's the thing. A lot of the facts that they're checking aren't facts. They're opinions. Okay? So people will say an opinion about something, and then they'll start doing that fact-checky thing under it. Okay? Stop and think about that for a second. My gripe about the whole thing is, what's fact? Where are you sourcing fact? What is a fact? 1 + 1 = 2. Fact. But when you start doing news stories and political stuff, it gets gray. It's extremely gray. And not only that, let me show you the difference between fact and truth. As soon as something's printed, it's a fact. Is it the truth? No. How many people know Houdini died on stage doing a trick? Well, guess what? That's not real. That didn't happen. It's a fact, though. Because if you watch the biopic Houdini with Tony Curtis, it ends with Houdini dying on stage. That movie was only made 20 years after Houdini's death. So imagine they make a movie about Tupac Shakur 20 years from his death, which would be pretty soon. And at the end, he gets shot up on stage. He dies on stage. But we don't have internet and stuff to go check this stuff or talk about it. The news isn't going to report it. It becomes a fact. Why? Because it's printed and it's real, right? But it's not the truth. So in this new context of what's going on online, I don't like it. It's starting to creep me out. Because it's all about who's the boss, who's in charge, and who has the corporate money to own this that's going to be doing this. That's it. If you can't see that, I don't know what to say. Because right now, yeah, they're fact-checking people that are kind of BS artists, but I'm okay with that. Because it's going to flip the other way again. It's always going to keep flipping around. The hunter becomes the hunted becomes the hunter. It flips around. That's why we have free speech law. You don't know. Facts versus truth. Fact is a fact. You can go, here it is. It's in the paper. And it might be, but it's not the truth at all. A lot of these news stories are one source, and then 1 million people report it. And it looks like 1 million people are now making it fact, which they are. I mean, it is once you can write it down and show somebody, that's it. It literally, it's reality. It becomes real. And to me, that's what it is now. So if you look at it, like the government has this law, hey, we have free speech, and literally it's free speech. Hate speech, good speech, all speech, free. If you're offended, there's the door, okay? Great. But then when all means of communication are private, meaning I'm talking to you right now through 4 different things. It's taking 4 layers from you to get what you're getting from me. And at any moment, one of those 4 layers can get blocked, stopped, or censored. And then I can't talk to you. When that happens, things have to change. Because that means the free speech only applies to the old hear ye, town crier guy. Hear ye on the corner. Or if you write it on a piece of paper and bring it to someone's house, which you won't be allowed to do at that point. So it's something I just want people to talk about. Talk about it, please. Talk about it with your kids. People don't talk about this stuff with their kids. I don't know why. If you have kids, I don't care if they're 5 years old, talk about hate speech, good speech, free speech. Talk about if somebody says something mean and offensive, too bad. You have to learn how to deal with this stuff. It's not automatic. We evolved to hate negative things and negative emotions. We did not evolve to understand something and go, oh, cool, I get it. Even though I don't like that, I got to go over here because of these reasons. We're not taught that. Your kids aren't going to learn it unless you teach it to them. The schools are not going to teach it to them. And I just think this is really basic, easy to understand stuff. It's not complicated. When my kids were little, I constantly was talking about free speech stuff. And if they're offended, it's their fault. How many of you told your kids that? I just think if you're offended, it's all on you. It's not somebody else's problem. It's your problem. Yeah. Well, all right. Dumb speech gets too much attention these days. That's true. But that's because most people are dumb. I mean, most things cater to a low common denominator. And this is why democracy's funky. Because if you have a lot of dumb people, guess what happens? Democracy backfires. That's why we don't live in a democracy. We live in a republic. It's not a democracy. People get that mixed up too all the time. Where's the democracy? Well, it's not here. Never was supposed to be. So, yeah, you're right. There's a lot of dumb things out there. But, again, it's all debatable. And as soon as you have an overlord shutting things down without discourse, again, if you can't disprove it with discourse and you have to censor it, something's not right. Something ain't right. Freedom. So William brings up something. It's a fact that most people they're afraid to stand up and make change and easily swayed by confronting society's standards. Yeah, or society's, yeah, like, not or, yes, I agree. Yeah, I mean, so social media is interesting because I saw a thing on this. If you lean, the question was like, do they only hire people that lean to the left or to the Democratic Party tickets, right? And the guy was like, no, they actually hire everybody. But if you get promoted to the higher jobs, yes. Okay, that's fine. There's certain industries that lean right. There's certain ones that lean left. But the thing that was funny is how they said they're told to group people. They want you to stay in insulated groups because it goes with neuroscience. It's more, you're getting more dopamine that way. You're not getting any conflicting opinion. The problem is it's making it harder to understand outside opinion or discourse. So it's actually weird when you group people off and segregate groups, whether it be racially or ideologically or religiously or whatever. It can backfire bad, you know? And but they're told to do that. It's like insisted upon. Why? Because they make more money. You're on there longer. You're more dopamined. The more I study dopamine, the more it's interesting. I mean, if you met a drug dealer that was like, look, I figured out a way. I don't need to sell them drugs anymore. I just hit a couple buttons that make some beeping noises. And then I teach them how to do it. And I get them to make a drug in their body that they're addicted to. But they need my help to do it. You'd be like, wow, that guy's a mad genius. Scary. That's what it looks like. I mean, that's what they're saying. The guys that did it are like admitting it now. That's what's scary. It's not like a conspiracy theory. People are like, oh, this guy's a conspiracy theorist on this evening hour show. It's like, no, the people that invented the technology are saying it now. They're like, yeah, it's bad. A lot of them don't even let their kids on the computers. It's weird. So, this year, back to 2020, yeah, it was a major shift. I was talking to somebody today on the beach, or yesterday. I've been on the beach a lot this weekend. I surfed and played on the beach and went to campfires, and I sorted junk on the beach today. It was glorious. It was a couple locals who their hobby is they go look at the wash up, and there's the most amazing discoveries. I'm not kidding you. We found dentures and shotgun shells.